Right, so I've just got home and I want to let you know, I've been thinking about Jeff Nippard, all day. He's had an impact on me, he's had an impression on me. Jeff Nippard, if you ever see this, I give you a salute. You are my new hero. Sorry, man of the bald a-hole here. Thank you very much for joining me once again on this tremendous day. It's always nice when you wake up, isn't it? Because one day, if we're being honest, you're not going to wake up. Let's not talk about that. It's way too depressing. But yes, this is my Should You Listen to Them series. That one guy that always gets mad and goes, wow, why should we listen to you? I did a video on myself that says you shouldn't listen to me, so now I am protected. That's why I call myself a bald asshole. People used to say it in the comments all the time. I was like, all right, I'll take that. I will reclaim it for myself. Massively suggested guy this week is Jeff Nippard. Now, Jeff Nippard is really interesting to me because I knew who he was just because he's a massive deal, but I never really watched much of his content. As you can see from the intro, I'm now a little bit obsessed with Jeff Nippard, but we shall talk about it. Even in his and about on his YouTube page, it's awesome. Hello, everyone. He's such a chirpy chap. I'm a Canadian natural pro bodybuilder and internationally qualified powerlifter with a BSc in biochemistry, chemistry, and a passion for science. How could you even argue with him? This channel is dedicated to providing science-based training and nutrition information and journaling my own fitness journey. I've been training for 14 years. I hope you enjoy my video. Jeff Nippard is like the best person ever. So I basically binged him a lot. Thought about him all the time because he's just got a nice way about him. And the video I thought we'd break down today is why you shouldn't eat clean, how to lose fat more effectively. Went live around a month ago, has got 1 million views. Let's face it, even if you want to look at it from a YouTube point of view, what a fantastic title. I could learn more from Jeff Nippard, but look, should you listen to him? Let's get into it.
Now, let me start by saying that if you follow clean eating yourself and it's been working well for you and it's something you feel like you can happily stick to, that's totally fine. I do think that nutrition is very individual, so the problems I'm going to outline here may or may not all apply to all of you.
We could just stop it there. I know I say that a lot, but one, honestly, the way he talks, and the reason I want to bring this up is because people say that to me sometimes, oh, Miller, it's the way you talk. And I didn't really get it. I was like, I don't know what it means. I love it. Thank you very much. You know, you're boosting my ego. But it's the way he talks. He's really unassuming. He's not barking at you like some people. I like the barking too. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but it's just a nice change. And then he does have all this science knowledge. He's a bit like a teacher. He's like watching a teacher on YouTube. And what's the first thing he says? It's like, look, if you've tuned into this and you're a clean eater and now you're worried that I'm going to tell you not to eat clean. No, you keep doing it, man. You do you. That's what I'm going to have. Not I'm going to put it on merch. Don't put it on merch. I'm going to tattoo it on my chest. You do you. Because I think that should be the #1 message that comes across in all fitness videos. And you should always be looking to educate yourself and try new things, of course. But you got to do you, man. Otherwise, you're doing Jane. Nobody wants to be Jane.
So the first issue is that no one seems to agree on what clean eating actually means. And this has very practical implications. If you talk to your typical bodybuilder, they'll give you a short list of 6 or 7 foods. They'll say a main criterion of counting as clean is being unprocessed, whole, or natural. Yet protein powder almost always makes the list, despite being very highly processed, refined, and synthetic.
This dude knows his stuff. This is the kind, if you want science, like I'm more of a, hey, motivation, let's take the mick out the gym, even though we love it. This guy is fire. He's pure maths. He's just like, he's science in a box. Like if you gave someone science on a box for Christmas, Jeff Nippard would pop out and he'd go, hey, and he'd give you some information. I couldn't even think of anything then, but he would give you some information and it would just fascinate you for the rest of the day. Because he's right. I mean, he goes on, I don't think I put the clip here because I don't want to make the video too long, but he goes on to talk about sweet potatoes and potatoes and how sweet potatoes are really good and potatoes are really bad, even though they go through the same process. He talks about brown white versus white rice. Obviously, he's just talked about protein powder there, and it's true. It's 100% correct. Oh man, you got it. I mean, clean, I guess, in terms of healthy, sure, but it's processed. Of course it's processed. Where do you think protein powder comes from? Basically just like mangled up with a bunch of crap that somebody found one day, but then they drank it and they got buff, and for some reason we don't care. We don't care. As long as it makes us big, well, I'll do whatever you want.
Now this might seem like I'm just nitpicking or playing semantics, but not being able to clearly define what the approach actually entails makes it hard to give dietary guidelines based on sound nutritional principles and can end up causing some pretty serious issues, as we'll see.
So give him a round of applause. I don't mean it patronizing either. You can't argue that. You cannot argue with Jeff Nippard. And if you're trying, we'll have a fight. I won't. I've never had a fight in my life, but I would.
So the second problem I notice with clean eating, especially when it comes to fat loss, is that even if it technically works, which it can, it's still needlessly inconvenient, since science tells us that it's perfectly fine to be flexible with your diet and enjoy a variety of foods, even some processed junk foods, and you'll still lose fat just as well, as long as you're in the same net caloric deficit over time and eating enough protein. In fact, it's actually better than that. Being more flexible with your diet isn't just good enough for fat loss, research tells us that it's likely better than clean eating.
Could not agree with that more, because I have been there. I was obsessed with clean eating for so long, for too long, and it did absolutely take over. Fitness wasn't fun anymore. Going to the gym wasn't fun anymore. I mean, I still enjoyed the activity of going to the fitness palace, but it was too much. It was too much stress on my shoulders, because I was going out to things like this and I wasn't trying to partake, and then when I did partake, I felt bad. It's just a needless cycle you don't need to get into. If you're able to eat clean 6.5 days in a week, which is fantastic, by the way, you should absolutely allow yourself some kind of respite on that half a day, maybe Saturday evening, and just go nuts. But realistically, no one is going to eat that well unless you've got the mind of a hawk, because I assume hawks have a really clean diet. So knowing that someone is a flipping, a pro bodybuilder, but a natural bodybuilder, and has all this information, it's literally going, look, I have read this stuff, and I'm telling you, put your face into a pizza. Well, that should give you some confidence. And as always, what do all these videos come down to? People get so mad about it in the comments. Look, a fact is a fact. Are you going to get mad at me because I'm a human? Siren thinks he's a human. Yes, and it's calories in versus calories out. You could have 72 pizzas a day, and if you burn 73 pizzas worth of calories, you're gonna lose weight. Then you can go rub it in everybody else's face.
Clean eating just isn't the most effective strategy for long-term fat loss for most people. One study from 2012 gave 2 groups the same diet, except one group wasn't allowed to eat bread and the other group was. Clean eaters, especially if they follow paleo or keto, might expect the group without bread to do better. But in reality, after 16 weeks, both groups lost the same amount of fat, but the group that was told to cut out the bread had way more subjects drop out partway through. They just couldn't stick to the diet as well. So over the long term, the more foods you make off limits, the harder it'll be to consistently follow through.
He could be the number one so far in many ways. I mean, he's not. I love all the ones that I've said that I love. But giving you these kind of statistics, it kind of puts you in a little bit of a club, right? The BLC, the Big Little Club, my club, where, it doesn't matter if you're big, doesn't matter if you're little, you're in the fitness club. As long as you're training and working out hard, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what you look like, you're doing the right stuff. And here, that just tells you, if you've ever cheated on your diet, it could be that you're being too strict. You're not a bad person. You didn't fail. There's no misery to be had here. You were just a normal human. That was it. Your mum gave birth to you 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever it is, years ago. And here you are, and you're just trying to cope with the day-to-day life challenges like everybody else. Ipso facto, eat some bread. I'm sure that's what he wanted us to take away from it.
All right, the fourth issue with clean eating is that it can easily lead to disordered eating. Clean eating implies that if there are good foods, there must also be bad foods. And this is where it can start to go wrong for a lot of people psychologically. Research shows that black and white thinking about food can cause orthorexia, where you become obsessed with only eating foods you think are clean or healthy, and other potentially more severe eating disorders as well.
And that is the really cool stuff to focus on, because we can talk about rep ranges and weight and how much cardio you should do and what supplements you should take until the cows come home. The cows come home and I don't know, what do I know about the gym? But it is the psychological stuff around it that really gets you. It really, really is. And that's one of the huge ones. Because you've told yourself that, chicken, veg, rice, blah, blah, is good. And chocolate, pizza, so on is bad. When you have the bad thing, you go and do some cardio. Or, you try and make up for it. You try and balance it out. And some people obviously take it to the nth degree. There's a cricketer over here who, of course, the name escapes me now because it happens all the time. I've talked about Freddie Flintoff, thank you. And he came out the other day and said he had bulimia. And one of the reasons he had bulimia is because everybody was on his ass about his weight in the press. And so he started, every time he'd eat quote unquote bad or he'd go out for a drink binging session, he would then make himself throw up. And it's still something that he's suffering with today. Of course it is. And it goes to show it can happen with anybody. He's got tremendous success. He lived his dreams. So do not throw yourself into it with this much gusto. And I've been there, not to the point I had any psychological damage. Well, I guess it was just minor, because if I couldn't, I'd tell you this, I was driving somewhere once, I was coming up to the end of my 2 to 3 hour window, which doesn't exist, and I pulled into a garage and I drank some milk because I felt like I needed some nutrition. And then I felt bad that I drank the milk. It's just not the world you need to live in. It's not going to get you there any quicker. There's going to be a bunch of negativity and negative energy around you, which is going to hold you back. You've got to be kicking ass in the gym. You've got to be kicking ass with your diet. But you've got to be kicking ass in your own brain. In fact, that's the most important thing. You can't get to the end without a kick-ass brain.
Brings me to the final problem that I see with clean eating. Even though it's touted as being extremely healthy, it probably isn't as healthy as you think. Now, to be clear, of course, there are foods that promote good health, like fruits and vegetables, and foods that, when eaten too much and too often, can lead to health problems, like ice cream and French fries. The thing clean eaters often miss is the fact that the dose always makes the poison. Even the most toxic and dangerous substance on Earth is only actually harmful at a given dose. And even water, the most essential component to life, will kill you at a high enough dose.
1.6 thousand people have disliked this video on the day I'm making mine. Who are you? Why wouldn't you want this? This is all good stuff. In fact, it's important stuff. It is vital stuff. Especially it's all about dosages. Shout out to my man Greg Doucette, put the fork down. Sometimes it can be really hard to put the fork down. But if you're just shoveling broccoli into your face, you are going to be in a far better scenario than if you're doing it with ice cream. But that is the real issue. It totally is that, look, how many tubs of ice cream can you realistically eat, right? Sometimes, I'm not saying there's any better or worse, but sometimes people go, a whole tub of ice cream. I was like, bro, I could eat 42 tubs of ice cream. And even though on tub 32, I'd be like, I'd still keep going because there's drugs in it. There's drugs in it, clearly, but you can have a bowl of ice cream and everything's going to be okay. I don't think I put it in the video, but Jeff also talked about how that's really what it is. It's about balance and it's about moderation and it's about making sure long-term, consistently you are eating well and that you're not falling down the hole. And that's what we've said over here on this channel too. Not saying I'm as good as him. I'm absolutely not. He smashed it. But you can have a little bit of a cheat here and there. You can do this. You can miss the gym as long as you're not doing it all the time. If you plan to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you go Monday, Friday, but for the other 3 weeks of the month, you went Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that one Wednesday isn't going to make a blind bit of difference. We talked about it all the time. It takes forever to get in shape. So it's actually a good thing in a way because you can be a little bit more flexible with it. It's not like if you go for the next 14 days, at the end of the 14 days, you're going to be 6% body fat with abs and, biceps of steel. No, it's the opposite. 6 years down the line. But within that 6 years, there's so many things where you can drop the ball, pick the ball back up, run with the ball, change it for a rugby ball, change it for a hockey stick, and just smash someone over the head. That is the cool and the worst thing about fitness. Either way, though, Jeff Nippard is officially going to become a part of my daily routine. When Jeff Nippard uploads a video, Simon Miller will be watching, and I'm sure that's absolutely made his day. There's some random bored asshole who's like, I really like Jeff Nippard. But I do. Jeff Nippard, new love of my life. It's a very strange thing to say. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the bell, ding, ding. You know when a video will go live. I've got a Patreon if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/Simon316. I've got merchandise, simon.bigcartel.com. Flex's tees are on the way right now. I'll let you know when they're back in stock. At Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Otherwise, have a great day. If you want to watch some of the videos on the channel, I'd appreciate it. I will see you soon.